Hey, Blue Table fans, I'm here with Sarah. Sarah is going to learn how to play Warhammer Fantasy today, and if you do not know how to play Warhammer Fantasy, then why don't you stick around and I will show you the basics. The first thing is a little something called deployment. So each player rolls a dice, and whoever gets higher gets to pick a side, and they deploy a unit in that side, and then that becomes the side of the board that they operate from for the rest of the game. So I rolled a 5. Here goes Sarah. She's throwing up a 3. Now, throwing up a 3. Blah. 3, really? That's all you could throw up?
All I could muster.
All right, now the best way to do it, obviously, is to have all your models off the table and then deploy them. So why don't we do that? I put them this way so that you can see how often it happens that people put their stuff against the edge. That's not the rules. It's just a little bit of etiquette. We've got about 300 points here per side. So each of these groups of guys is what's called a unit. And each unit has what's called ranks. So you count the number of ranks. So this is 1 rank, 2 ranks, 3 ranks, 4 ranks. So this unit has how many ranks? Right here.
Right here?
Yeah.
Each of these is a rank?
Yeah.
2.
2 ranks, right?
Yes.
And typically, to count as a game benefit, a rank has to be 5 wide. So that's why you see most of these units run 5 wide. No, it's okay. You should be asking this question. She asked if she could steal the initiative like in 40K, and that doesn't exist. Now, this board's only 3 feet across, and you have to have 24 inches between the armies. So we can only deploy 6 inches out. Now, on a normal board, you would be able to deploy 12 inches out. Now, it's your turn, so you deploy a unit.
Okay. And now, since I don't know anything about what the most appropriate way to deploy
Right.
is...
So what you want to do is you want to put the things that don't matter most out first, so that it forces your opponent to deploy his things. So your biggest thing is probably this giant block of halberdiers. So do those guys last. Those guys can't move very much. So I would actually put the flagellants out first.
That's these guys right here.
And for this game, we're not going to go into the nuances of that. We're just going to kind of get everything out. My recommendation, put the flagellants here.
Okay.
Actually put the handgunners here, then flagellants right in the middle. Yeah, this would be a good spot for them.
Kind of where I had them?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but a little bit over because you have to deploy all of these things, right? So you're going to want your handgunners here.
Would we be measuring this whole time?
Yeah, we'd be measuring, but that's okay. We can just estimate. I'll put my ghouls right here. Okay. And then you'd put out your probably your swordsmen right here. By the way, these are not the GW figs. This is the Oriental Empire Army that we converted up. Awesome. That's really cool. I would put these guys like right there.
These, and why would I put them there? I'd like to know what the reason is.
Sure, because these flagellants, they won't break, so you want to put them against my strongest unit and just tie them up, and then try and get a bigger unit coming up in the side. They are used to pain. Okay. Yep. So
and now
there you go.
You said are the
handgunners.
Handgunners. Oh.
Now, yeah, and now if they were using official models, they'd have like rifles.
Yeah, this is cool though.
Those guys, yeah, they have
serious
blowguns, giant blowguns. Okay, put them right there.
Awesome.
It's a good spot for those. Okay. And then I'm actually a unit behind you, so I'm going to put my dire wolves out here because they go really fast. I'm going to see if I can't counter the handgunners. Okay, go ahead.
Do these go
and then you put your halberdiers. Yep, a whole unit together. Both sides. So these a unit of halberdiers. Now, you notice these guys have a banner. That's what's called a command, and that gives you some advantages in the game. Right. So go ahead and set the halberdiers down. Right here is a good spot.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so now, whoever has less units, because it's an advantage to have lots of units, because then you can, like if I have 20 units in my army, my opponent only has 10, they have to deploy their whole army. I get to see where all their stuff is, and then I still have 10 more units to drop down. So to counter that, you get if you finish deploying first, you get +1 to your option to go first roll, which is what we're going to do right now. Okay, so we roll off again.
Okay.
And Sarah, I'm going to get +1 because I finished deploying first. I have less guys, so 6 + 1 is 7. There's no way for Sarah to beat me. So I can choose to go first or go second. And I'm going to go ahead and go first. Okay. But before I do that, the dire wolves are fast cavalry, and they have a rule called Vanguard, which means they get to make a bonus move before the game starts. Oh. So yeah, and they go 9, but they can't charge the first turn. Oh, I worked it all out. Yeah, the poor Empire, so weak. Okay, if you look on the dire wolves statistics, it says movement 9. Did it just die? What's going on?
Put my bat down, dude.
Alright, so anyway, so the dire wolves move 9. So the easiest way that movement happens is you could just move straight forward like that, right? Now you can't just move them any direction you want. So for example, you couldn't go 9 inches like this, typically.
Right.
Yeah, can you actually pause that? Okay, but if I wanted to move, say, over here, I can't just go like that. You don't just go as the crow flies. You have to do maneuvers. So you do what's called a wheel. So 3 inches of movement, I turn it like that. See how that works?
Yeah.
And then I would go 4 more inches. So I've gone 7 inches. And then I would do a 2-inch wheel again to go straight like that.
So all in all, they probably moved forward.
They move forward
About,
maybe 7 inches
okay.
instead of 9.
All right.
So, but most of the time people just kind of, they approximate it, and if it doesn't really matter, then that's the thing. So here we go. So that's 9 inches, and that's my vanguard move there. Okay, so I'm taking the first turn. I can't charge with these guys. So the handgunners, they have a range of 24 inches, which means they will
They're in
have
range.
a penalty after 12 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and just move just out of their range. An important note is Warhammer Fantasy has a rule called pre-measuring, which means at any point in time you can measure any distance on the board. And that's unusual. Most games don't let you measure the distances. You just have to kind of guess.
So that helps you set up for what you're planning on doing.
It really does, and it gets rid of all sort of things like some people I've heard, you know, they know that it's this far from their fingertip to their elbow, so they'll kind of lean over like they're looking at something.
And in reality, they're measuring.
They'll be like, oh, that's 18 inches, right? Cool. So, okay, these guys are going to move. They have a movement of 4 inches. Now, you can double move, which is called a march, kind of like running. But undead can't march, so that's a special rule for them, unless they're close to the general, and I didn't bring a general to this game. We don't have any heroes. So I'm just going to move my 2 units forward.
How many inches was that?
That was 4 inches.
Okay.
You are supposed to keep your guys an inch apart at all times, but typically during like our studio game, we don't adhere to that rule just because it gets too crowded. But I'm pretty sure that is in the rule book. Okay, great. Pretty sure it's in the rule book. That's the kind of tutorial you're getting, right? Hey, I'm just trying to tell you the basics here. Okay, and then there's magic phase. I don't have any magic. Then there's shooting phase. I don't have any shooting. And then there's close combat phase. I don't have any close combat.
Ta-da, it's my turn.
So move my guys forward. I literally could have done that in 10 seconds. So now it's the Empire's turn. Okay, now your guys all have a movement of 4 inches.
4 inches.
So now if you want, they can march and go 8.
Well, are they within? Now, why can't you move him 9 and then go further?
Because the 9 was a pre-game vanguard movement. So that wasn't my turn yet. That was the beginning of the game.
And
that's what's great about vanguard, is they can kind of get up there. Oh, at the beginning of your movement phase, you would declare charges.
Okay, but
so measure how far it is between these 2 units here. Just go ahead.
Whoops.
Measure closest spot to closest spot.
We're about 13
inches.
Well, a little over.
To make if you wanted to make a charge
Almost
there,
14.
what you would do is you take 2 dice.
Okay.
And you would, let's just pretend you did this,
you tell
okay?
me what to do, I'll do.
All right, fantastic. So, and then you'd add 4, which is their movement, to the 2d6, and you try and get, what was it, a 13 or higher?
13.
Okay, so,
Closer, like
so that means you need to roll like a 9.
Which I did not do.
Right, so if you had declared a charge, and you needed to roll a 9 on the dice, plus 4 would be the 13 required, but you failed, you take away the lowest dice, and that's what's called a failed charge, and you move forward only that amount.
Okay, now would I have to wheel?
5. Yeah, you would. You would. Well,
Or can I
the
just
simple
get
way,
closer?
just take the outside amount and just go 5 inches like that, because you would have to kind of face them.
So like
So
this?
that would be a failed charge. But of course, you wouldn't do that because you'd say, yeah, 9's an awfully high number to roll. So now but you got to think ahead, because my wolves are going to attack the handgunners, right? Although the handgunners are going to shoot the wolves first, right? So, in fact, those wolves are probably just going to get blown up by the handgunners. But you do need to, like in chess, you have to support your pieces.
Right.
So what you might do is you might turn these guys like that and say, okay, wolves, go ahead and charge the handgunners, but my guys are going to come in and mop you up afterwards. But to win this game, you should march right down the middle and just crush this unit of skeletons.
Okay, so on this one.
So your best move was not to
them
charge.
here.
Yep, I would. That's
And then
what I would
on
do.
these,
I would just march them
move
all forward.
them-
I'd go 8 inches, here 8 inches, and here 8 inches.
Now,
just straight
why
forward.
can I go 8 inches? Because it's
Because
a march.
you're marching,
And
that's
I'm not
right.
actually going to do any fighting yet.
That is
Let's do
correct. A march.
Okay.
So like you can't march and shoot.
it. Right.
You can move and shoot typically.
Is this
Go
a
ahead and just move
problem?
that out of the way. For the purpose of this little demo, I just wanted to make the board not so plain.
Okay, so, oops, I'm sorry, here we are, 8 inches forward.
That's right. Okay, and for this game, we don't have any wizards. We don't, and you don't, but you do have shooting. So
have
let's
shooting.
move to shooting phase.
So this
So
is the
each guy
only
gets
people
one
who
shot.
shoot.
Yeah, each guy
Right.
gets one shot
means I need
with a
10
handgun.
dice.
That is correct. Just so Sarah knows how this works. Now, did John ever teach you how to calculate a to-hit thing out of your head? How to do it?
hit?
Yeah, okay. Well, let's start. You know what? It's you. You might want to hear this. So here we go. These guys have ballistic skill 3. That's an average amount of how good they are at shooting. So 4 would be like, wow, these guys are elites. 5 would be ridiculous. 2 would be awful, like a goblin. A goblin short bow. Yeah, they don't pay attention very well. They only got ballistic skill 2.
These have
So
3.
these guys have 3. So that means
Five.
if your ballistic skill is 1, you need a 6 to hit. If your ballistic skill is 2, you need a 5. You hit on a 5 or a 6. 2 of the dice.
So this
results.
is a 4 and up if they're ballistic
Yeah, it's a
skill
4 and
three.
up. That is
Okay.
correct. So you roll once. Now, hold on, but there's penalties.
There's more.
Yes,
But
it's
wait.
not like 40K. 40K
more.
is kind of simplified, where they all, if you have ballistic skill 3, you always hit on 4-ups no matter what. Fantasy is a thinking man's game. Yeah. So long range, which is over half the range of the weapon.
Okay.
So 24 inches, half range would be 12.
And
And
we're
we already
about 12.
measured that.
Yeah, about 13
Yeah,
actually.
and I did that on purpose. So I'd be within charge range, but outside the thing. So you're at -1, so you go down to ballistic skill 2. So you need
somewhere
5s
like
and
a dumb
6s.
goblin.
So go ahead and roll your 5s and 6s. 5s and 6s are
Here's
hits.
a question. Do I have to roll all the dice at once? Is there a rule for that? Or
There isn't a rule,
just toss a few at a time?
but it is extremely bad luck to roll your dice, not
Oh,
all
is
at
it?
once. It is.
Bad luck.
It never ends up well.
Because I believe in that.
So you pull all the 5s and 6s out. Those are hits.
Okay, which is 4.
There you go. Now, let's go to 2 wound,
Okay.
if you'd be so kind on me. So there's a formula for this, too. There's a chart, or someone can tell you, but that gets old after a while. So it's strength versus toughness. So if your strength is 3 and my toughness is 3, yes, I do it this way. Then that's a 50-50, right? So on a 4, 5, or 6, you wound. On a 1, 2, or 3, you don't wound,
Right.
right? But your strength is 4, and my toughness is only 3. So what happens?
I
So
have
you
an
beat me by 1.
advantage.
You do. So that wound roll gets 1 easier.
3 up.
It goes up to a 3 up.
Yep.
So go ahead. That's a hand, because they're black powder weapons. Blam! They just hit so hard.
All right.
Why do you gotta hit so hard?
I was going to
Okay,
say
go
that,
ahead.
but you did it better.
3 ups. Sorry. Oh,
Oh, 3
okay.
ups.
Now here's the part
Wait, so
where
they wound you.
normally I would do an armor save. Okay, so on me again. Now in 40K, if you're familiar with that game, you always you either get your armor save or you don't get your armor save. In fantasy, it's not that way. So let's say these guys had heavy armor and a shield, which would give them a 4+ armor save. And let's say there's the strength of the weapon gives a save modifier. So it goes like this. If the strength of your weapon is 3, which is average, they just roll their armor save. That's what they get. If their strength is 1 higher as a 4, guess what? Just like the toughness strength thing, they get a penalty. So it becomes 1
gets the
harder to do it, the person with the armor. So
Okay.
that 4+ armor save would only be made on a 5+ armor save, 5+ roll. See how that works?
Kind of. I think I lost
Right?
there
You
a
kind
little
of
bit.
like, your head is spinning. So let's say I had a 4+ armor save for heavy armor and shield. So
Okay.
that means if a strength 3 weapon hits me, haha, my armor and shield is at full effect.
Right, no problem.
Because that's the strength there is only 3. So I would roll the dice, and if I roll a 4 or higher, then I would ignore
No
the
problem.
wound.
Didn't hurt.
Right?
Didn't-
But let's say someone's attacking me with a halberd, say, which is
Okay.
slightly more of a strength weapon. Let's say it's strength 4, right?
And you have an armor save 4.
Yeah. So normally I'd need a 4+. Oh, but the halberd's really strong. I might just cut through that armor. So now I need a 5 or higher.
To save.
Right.
Okay, I
so
see.
The handguns, they're strength 4, which is -1 penalty to armor for strength 4. -2 for strength 5. See how this works? For strength 6, it's -3. For strength 7, it's -4. And
Does
so
it go even higher than
it just
that? Oh my
penalizes,
goodness.
yeah, it just penalizes that armor. And that matters when you have knights that have a 2+ armor save. That's pretty depressing. I do 7 wounds, they go, oh look, I
They're all
rolled
dead.
all 2 or higher.
That's pretty
And
easy.
so I made it. But the wolves, so the handgunners, they have what's called armor piercing because their shots are so strong. Blam! They're an extra -1, so they'd be -2 to the armor. But dire wolves don't have any armor, which is why, was this your roll? All
Yes.
3 ups? So guess what? 4 dire wolves die. Blah, 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 blah.
Not looking so dire, are you now?
Yeah, not
Or I should
so
say, your situation is dire.
grown. Grown.
I didn't come up with a dire wolf's name.
That is so bad. Okay, so so that's it for you because you don't have any close combat. So let's go. Let's move on to undead. Keep it rolling.
Okay.
Let's keep it rolling. So I'm going to grab the tape measure. I'm going to see if I can charge because I would really like to do that. I don't want to wait around for this punishment. Okay, that's a 12 inches. So I'm going to risk it. I'm going to go ahead and charge the skeletons into the halberdiers. Here we go. And so I have a 4-inch move, and it's 12 inches, so I need to roll an 8 or higher. 8 plus 4 would be 12. And I miss it. I roll a 2 and a 1, so you take out the lowest one, and that's how far you go in your failed charge. So they just go forward 2 inches, which is actually good for me because it's still kind of a far away from you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to get really close because then your charge would be effectual. So the ghouls are going to charge the flagellants. And they're probably going to need a 9. Yes, they are. Because apart, 12 inches and 1/8 of an inch, now I need to roll the next thing up for it. Because 12 wouldn't make it. It would be just short.
Right.
That's how that works. And that fails too, so I go forward 2 inches. All in all, not too bad. And I am going to charge the dire wolf into these guys. So now comes an important concept, which is called flanking, which means every unit is divided, has a front arc that goes out 45 degrees, just like that. See how that works?
Yep.
So when this guy charges, if he were here, he would go in the front. But since he's in the side, he goes like this.
Oh, okay.
See how that works?
Yeah.
It's called a flank charge. So now, what I do is
So you don't have to
declare
wedge
charge.
it. You don't have to turn him.
Right, and we missed a concept here, so I'll explain it now. It's called charge reactions. So I'm charging. Now you need to say whether you're going to hold, flee, or stand and shoot. So here's how that works. With these guys, so I didn't charge these guys because they could stand and shoot and they would probably kill him.
Right.
So these guys, hold on. If they flee, you roll 2d6 and you go the opposite direction.
Okay.
Or you can hold. You don't have any ranged weapons, so you can't stand and shoot. So do you want to flee or stay and take the charge? You should
I
stay
think
and
I want
take
to
the
stay and
charge.
take the
Right.
charge.
What's the one wolf going to do?
Well, you never
I'm
know, but-
I'm just charging because then he has a chance to do something
Some damage.
before his pitiful life is over.
Okay.
Okay, so plunk, in they go. Okay, no magic, no shooting, now close combat. Ooh, exciting. So in close combat, go ahead and start and stop. The first thing you do in close combat is determine who gets to strike first. So it's like a countdown. Initiative 10, initiative's how fast your guy is. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So your guys are initiative 4, and my guy's initiative 2.
So we strike
So
first?
You get to strike first at initiative 4. So I'll take the thing.
Oh.
So what we do is when you charge, you have to get in close contact with the most guys. So I couldn't charge and go like that and say, I just
Right.
want to fight this guy.
You
I
only
have to
get to
get
fight
into
the two on the
contact with
side.
the most. That
Okay.
is correct.
And that's because of
None
that
of these other
45
guys get to
degree
fight.
arch.
Yes.
Okay.
Now if I charged in the front, the most guys I could be in contact would be 3. I couldn't do 4 because it's not wide enough.
Gotcha.
Okay, so these two guys are fighting. They each have 1 attack, so grab your dice.
Okay.
Now you compare weapon skill. Your weapon skill is 4.
Okay.
My weapon skill is 3.
Teeth.
Yes, my teeth. So now this roll's a little bit different.
Okay.
If your weapon skill's higher, you hit on a 3+, and if your weapon skill is equal to or lesser, then you hit on a 4.
Okay.
That's like, so the rule for close combat is you always hit on a 4, unless your weapon skill's higher. Then you get a 3.
And I have a higher weapon skill.
You do. So
Three
you
to
roll
a
2
okay,
dice.
Is it 4 to a 2?
No, 4 to a 3. So 3+.
Okay.
3+ to hit.
And
So
I
I'm just
got a
hoping
2.
you miss. Oh, my hopes are dashed. That's 2 hits. Your strength is 3. My toughness is 3. So what do you need to roll to wound?
50.
50-50.
4 and up.
Yeah, 4 and up.
So take the
4
same
pluses.
2 and
That's
then
right.
roll them
It's
again.
the same 2. You roll them again.
Whoops, just got skewered.
Oh! Okay, the dire wolf has no armor, so he is dead. Dead again. And that's
So
the end of my turn.
But one of them killed.
Yeah, now if you had rolled this, I would have got my attack.
Right.
Okay? All right, now it's your turn.
Okay.
So it's your movement phase, so start with your charges.
All right. I'm going to want to wheel these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I only get how many inches? 4?
4 inches, or you can march 8. But you
wanna
can't
march
move and shoot with the handguns. But that's fine.
Doesn't matter. I'm so far away.
Yeah, you're going to kind of be in close combat
So
anyway,
the
so
only way
that's
to
what I would
move
do.
is to
I would
move.
just get them up.
So if I was to go forward 6 and then turn them,
Yeah, and wheel. That is
wheel
correct.
them. Okay, so 6,
6, and then a
Forward.
2-inch wheel.
and then I'd have. Whoops, I need
A
to do this
2-inch
way.
wheel.
right?
Yep, that's right, the outside of the wheel. So you swing it like
There
that.
we go. Okay,
Perfect.
so that's all they get.
Okay, but
And-
you do need to do your charges first, because that wasn't a charge. But go
Oh.
ahead, do your charges now.
Alrighty then. Now on my charges, I can go not just my 4.
Uh-huh,
I can
but plus
go
2d6.
Plus 2d, 4 plus 2d6. So I get
Now
my
remember, the average of 2 dice is usually 7. That's your safe roll. So if you're within 11 inches, that's a pretty good chance of making contact.
And I am.
Yep.
In both cases, I'm only 10 inches
Yep.
roughly about.
Okay.
So that's why choosing
So
to
what you
charge
do
is
is
a
you
good
say
idea.
the halberdiers are charging the skeletons.
Thank you,
Okay, go.
halberdiers and skeletons. I got an
8 plus 4 is
so it's
12.
12, so,
So
I
that's
get
plenty.
all the way up to
Yep. Crunch. Now undead can't do anything except hold. They don't have human intelligence to be like, you know what, it'd be better to run. They don't make those decisions.
Okay.
They just go,
zombies.
yeah, like zombies.
That's why she needed her bat back.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I'm
The
going
flatulence?
to
Ooh, you
do
should
the same
charge
thing
them
for them
too.
and
Go
charge
for
them
it.
because I know I'm within the right amount of time.
Oh, only 6.
I
So
only
you
got
take away the
10.
lowest one.
But wait, is that enough?
Oh, is it?
But wait, let's find out.
So it means you can't even be
Wait.
1/8 of an inch higher than
I
10.
have more than 10 and
Yeah.
10.5 inches.
So that's a failed charge, so you just trundle forward the higher of the 2 dice.
And they were the same, so I can go forward 3. Which basically puts me there.
There we go. Okay, now you could, well, no, that won't work. So now look at these guys over here. Let's pretend,
haven't
just
done
for a
these
second,
yet.
that they were here. So what we would do is we take our 45-degree measure, and you can make one really easy out of paper. Let's spin it around for you. And we would see that they were in the front arc. So if they both charged, they wouldn't end up like this, because that's not a flank charge. They would both end up like that, or they would share the frontage. Do you see how that works?
I think so.
But they both have to be in the front because they started in the front. That's the rule. But if they were in the side, even if they were like way over here, then you would go like that. And this is a highly advantageous situation. Flanking someone in fantasy, because you got to remember, this is medieval combat. This is like the old movies where they like beat the drum, dun dun dun, and the banner goes up, and they go left turn, and the guy rides over and goes, you there, go to the thing, flank, and they all they march out. That's the thing that you're doing here.
I like the animation.
You like that?
I did. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm trying to make it interesting.
It helps. Okay, so what
Okay,
can I
now
do with
let's-
them?
now
Because
let's
they haven't
do-
moved
they
yet.
can't- yeah, I would march them to get them in position for that flank move. So
Okay.
go ahead and hand me the tape measure. You keep filming, and I'll just go ahead and
Thank
move
you.
them. So instead of doing like some people will actually bend it and make that represent the wheel. Do you see how that works? Just to make it go faster. A lot of times you can just do kind of an as the crow flies from the outer thing and just go, okay, that was 8 inches.
Okay.
you know, and do an estimation.
And that's because
But
I'm marching,
what you would
otherwise it
do-
would have only been 4.
Yeah, otherwise you'd
Okay.
be marching. So
Okay,
now
ask dumb
the
questions so I can be
majority,
sure I'm
the
right.
majority of the unit is in the flank, and that is a good place to be.
Why would I want that? Oh, because there's more. I can
There's
affect
rules.
more.
Well, in Warhammer Fantasy, it's not just killing things. It's a game of maneuvering. So to win a combat, it's not just how much you killed. It's what's called your combat resolution. So after a fight, each person gets a score, right?
Okay.
So they get points for wounds, which is the big thing, but you also get points for ranks.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I would get points for every rank beyond the first. So my combat resolution would be +1, +2, +3 here.
Oh, okay.
But if you're in the flank with a unit that is of sufficient size, I believe it's at least 1 full rank, which is 5 guys wide, you take away that rank bonus. I would
Because it's
get
not
no
a full
ranks
rank.
because I believe it's called disruption, which means now that there's guys fighting in the side, there's kind of panic in the ranks.
Yeah, because
You
they're
know,
trying
oh,
to
no, there's
fight on
guys in
2
the side.
fronts.
Yeah, they can't hold formation. Whereas guys pressing in from the front, you have like lines of guys kind of like ready to step up and kind of pressing in.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's very romantically notioned. Okay, so now let's fight this combat. Let's do
Okay.
this thing. So in a combat, you go with the highest initiative. So your guys have 4 and my guys only have 2.
Right.
So apathetic
So
as that.
kinda zombie-ish.
So let's see how many swordsmen can fight. Everyone in the or halberdiers. Sorry, I keep saying swordsmen. Swordsmen have 5 guys in the front, each with 1 attack. So that's 5. And then they have 5 guys in the second rank. Those get what's called supporting attacks, and they get maximum 1 attack. Well, they only have 1, so great. So
They get
that's
all their
5, 10.
attacks.
That's 10 attacks.
So first 2
So-
rows, because they're halberdiers and they don't have swords, they can stick their
no,
little finger or
that's
no?
not the reason why everybody can do that.
Okay, awesome.
Spears, which is what you're thinking, they would actually get a 3rd rank of fighters
Oh.
into the fray.
Okay, that makes sense. They just look like spears, but I
They
can see that
do,
they're,
and in this particular army, you could pass these guys off as
we could
spear.
do it either way.
Yep.
We'd have to decide that ahead of time. though.
Okay, so grab your 10 dice. All right, so weapon skill 4 versus weapon skill 3. What do you need to roll?
I need a 3.
Oh, and my weapon skill's only 2.
3
so
up,
you
right?
need a 3 up. Yeah, that's right. Okay, go ahead.
And if is it 4 to 2? Or
4 to 2.
3? Okay, so is it,
Yeah, it's not like wounding. It's just if you beat them,
Okay.
even if it's by a lot. Okay, so go ahead.
whoops, lost one.
Here you go. Here's one
Another
more.
one.
Okay, great. So
Ooh, that's
you're
a
looking
bad
for
roll.
3s. Yeah, that's not many 3s. Okay, now you need to roll to wound. It's strength 3, toughness 3. Oh, excuse me.
So-
Halberds give you +1 strength. Strength 4, toughness 3.
So I need a 3 up to
Yep,
roll.
it becomes 1 easier to wound. Better than the 50-50.
Oh, that's so bad. I
You only got
2.
2 wounds. Now my guys have light armor, which gives them a 6+ save, and they have a shield, which gets, so in Warhammer Fantasy, it's not just, oh, they have such and such armor, this gives them that save. It actually, you calculate it. So light armor gives them a 6+ save. A shield adds to that save by 1 point.
So
So
it's
they get a
5.
5+. But you have strength 4 weapons, which is a -1 penalty, so I need 6s. So here I
After
go,
all.
rolling me 6s. 6s to save. That's 1 save. And they also, because they have, well, I guess these guys have spears. So I'll go with spears, because that's what's showing on the models. Personally, I prefer, if you have hand weapon shield, you get a 2nd save at 6 up. No matter what, called a parry save.
So did you
But
lose 1?
that's for another day. Yes, I lost 1 guy. Ploink.
You just take
Now-
them off the back?
I do. You always take them off the back, and you take them from the sides. So if I had 3 wounds, I take 1 here, 1 here, and 1
That
there.
has to do with the
You go back
flanking.
and forth.
Too.
Yeah, you just squeeze them down to the middle.
Okay.
I may be outdated with that information, but I'm pretty sure that's it. Okay, now I have 5 guys. Spears gives another rank, so I have 15 attacks back.
Okay.
Some of you right now are going like, what about fear? You did that wrong. You know what? Just relax. This is a primer. It's a primer, folks. So fear is like a different set of complicated things. All right, 15 skeletons attacking back. I need 4s to hit. I'll re-roll this. That was a runaway. Okay, so there's 6. Cocked dice. By the way, that's not in the rules. That's just house rules. We re-roll dice cocked to any degree. Flat and on the table is the only one that counts. Okay, now to wound. Strength 3, toughness 3. Okay. Wow. So 3 wounding hits. And you have, now the guys show shields, but you can't use halberds and shields. So you just have light armor. So you need to roll 3 dice and roll 6s to save.
Oh, that's not great.
Uh-huh.
Woo!
That's nothing. So you pull off 3 guys.
Lost
Go
3.
ahead.
Oh, he's got a portal.
1, yep. 2.
Whoops.
From the sides, nope, there you go.
Yeah, I guess I did that
and
wrong.
you actually
Should've
you don't take them off the table yet. You put them behind. And you notice I didn't take it off the table. I left it here because that's the score. So let's do combat resolution. Okay, so combat resolution. What is my combat resolution? I got 3 for wounds because I did 3 wounds. I also calculate ranks. It's every full rank beyond the first. So the first one is nothing. Second full rank is a point. Third full rank is a point. And guess what?
Not a full rank.
Nothing, because she killed that one guy. And my particular vernacular, I call that peeling off a rank, that you managed to take that away. So anyway, so my score is 3 for the wounds, 2 for the ranks. I have a banner, so that is 6. Okay, so now let's do the impact. So my it's called combat resolution. Mine is 6. How well are you doing in the combat? The
And that's
Empire,
just this one turn.
Yeah, just this one turn. The Empire has 1 wound, 2 ranks, and +1 because you charged. So your combat resolution is 4. Now I didn't give these guys a banner because I didn't physically have a model for that handy at the time. So, but let's assume you did have a banner. That would mean you got 5
and you got
I got 6. So now that means you lost the combat, and you have to take what's called a break test. So you look at your unit's leadership. State troops have leadership 7. So that means you need to roll 2d6 and get a 7 or less, but because you lost by 1, it gets 1 harder. So you need a 6 or less.
Okay.
Yep.
So it'd be a good time to roll the way I've been rolling.
So this is called fleeing. So before you flee, you look at your opponent and you say, are you going to restrain pursuit, or are you going to pursue? Are you going to restrain or pursue?
Restrain or pursue.
Yeah, don't just go and roll your flee distance, because then your opponent will be like, oh well, now I get to see how much you're going to flee, and then I'll decide.
Okay.
Right? And that won't be his fault.
So we already
or her
know
fault.
that I'm going to flee. We just
Yes,
don't know
you
how far.
flee. We don't know how fast you're going to get away. Okay. So, but I am going to pursue. So away we go. And in fact, I don't think undead can restrain. Are you ready? So you roll 2d6 because you're infantry. This is how far in inches you go.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. 7 inches. Okay, and now I'll roll and see if I can catch you. 9 inches. So that does catch you. Okay, so I pursued 9, and she fled 7. So I did catch you. So you don't move. These guys are just casualties. So you remove the entire unit.
Oh, the whole set.
Yeah, do you see how brutal that is?
Yeah, pretty awful.
Right? And then I move forward 9 inches.
It's kind of cool that sometimes I need
this
to roll
can be
low.
bad, yes. This can be bad because if you set it up right, now what happens? Now if it were your turn, you could go clunk in the flank, clunk in the flank. So you really have to kind of look ahead. So there you go. All right, that's it for your Warhammer Fantasy primer. Warhammer Fantasy is a very cinematic game. It's designed for, sweeping advances, crumbling flanks, daring maneuvers, horrible turns of fate that you have to kind of battle your way out of it because something didn't go right. So to me, it really captures the essence of medieval warfare, or at least what a common guy like me thinks medieval warfare is about. So, as always, you've got to shake your opponent's hand, give them a thank you. Thank you, Sarah. You're really quite wonderful. There it is.
Okay, cool.
And I can't wait to play you again.